If you're listening to this, then you've felt at least some flashes of motivation to be a successful YouTuber, but it's harder to stay motivated than it is to feel motivated sometimes. YouTube is a weird job. It's part creativity, part business. That means your midnight motivation that evaporates in the morning may not be enough to thrive on the platform. As they say, your mindset is half the battle. You can have the most rock-solid plan in the world, but if you can't be bothered to follow through, then your plan means nothing. So, how does one stay consistently motivated? Motivation can be ephemeral with anything. For instance, if you're trying to work out more, you've got to push yourself to do it. But if you push too much, you may get injured, burned out, or you'll get so obsessed that you start taking steroids in the butt. Today, we're talking about how we cultivate energy and passion in a world that seems to try its hardest to drain us. I'm Grant. I run a YouTube channel called Treesicle with close to 1 million subscribers. I'm here with Augie, creator of the channel Baller Bootcamp and the company VidChops that helps many YouTubers meet their editing needs. Our careers have required a lot of internal motivation, and we're here to share tried and true methods for keeping your mind radiant. The topic of motivation may seem annoyingly generic, but as someone who has been in this game for over 7 years, I can tell you without hesitation that the biggest roadblock for everyone in this field is themselves. Doubt and lethargy can undo anybody. Let's shoo those bad feelings away to make room for the good stuff. Sit back, relax, and get amped while myself and Augie open up about our own struggles and how we've effectively dealt with them for many years. Let's do it. Alright, intro done. Augie, I'm gonna throw this one to you. It's 9 p.m. Everything else you've had to do today is done. Or at least, enough of it is done. This is your time to work on videos or any passion project, but you're just not feeling it tonight. What do you do to shift your mindset?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it kind of starts before that 9 p.m. It starts when you first make that decision, like, hey, I'm gonna create videos, or I'm gonna start a YouTube channel. And the question comes up like, okay, well, why do you want to start a YouTube channel? And there's a lot of different reasons I think that people want to start a YouTube channel. But for example, a basic one, one for me is I want to help people get better at basketball. I want to make a great resource for high school basketball players to who don't know what they should be doing. I want to teach them what they should be doing, and in turn that makes me feel good about myself. And so if that's my mission, right, then that's going to help me at 9 p.m. when I'm feeling tired and I'm like, should I just go to bed, or should I edit this video and get it live on YouTube for tomorrow? Well, I can look back to what was my why? What was my why for doing this? And it's to help kids that were just like me, growing up, who had big goals in basketball, and that right there is enough normally to get me motivated. And so mission. What's your mission with your channel? You should set a mission. And your mission shouldn't be like, oh, my mission is to get 10,000 subscribers, right? Your mission should be based on something bigger than that. In my opinion, That would be like a goal, right? Like, my goal is to get 10,000 subscribers, but my mission is to preach the good gospel of basketball, help players find a love for the game, and help them reach their goals to play in college or something like that. So yeah, I mean, there's a few other things I think too that you can use to help yourself stay motivated. I'm sure we'll talk about them more throughout the rest of this, but one other one that I'll mention is doubters and haters, right? I mean, it sounds kind of stupid and corny, but for me in basketball, that was one of my main drivers. Is I always felt like I was the undersized, slow guy, and I felt like people would, talk bad about me behind my back. Oh, well, he could shoot, but he can't dribble. He's just a shooter, and kind of that talk. I would use that talk in my head to motivate myself, even like mid workout. And it was kind of the same thing with creating YouTube videos. I would. A lot of times, whether it's your parents saying, "Oh, this isn't a real job," or friends or people at a party, "What do you do?" "Oh, I create YouTube videos," and they just kind of laugh. But I would use that as motivation, right? I would think about that kind of stuff, and like those three things: that goal setting, mission setting, and then the doubters, that would be enough for me at 9 p.m.
I love all of that. So the idea of having clear goals, I feel like you've really hit the nail on the head. That's been super important for me over the years, because a lot of people like the idea of being on YouTube or being a musician or any creative thing. A lot of people love the idea of it. So they like the attention, they like the notoriety, they like the kind of shallow aspects of the job, so to speak, but they don't necessarily have a real foundation of why they're doing it. So when you said, you know, you want to prove yourself, you want to help people get better at basketball, these are all wholesome, real things, as opposed to just like wanting attention. And that is super important, because I've known a lot of people over the years, like, you know, in high school, I had some friends who were very lovely, but, you know, they were like dying to be a famous musician, but they never practiced. And so you could just kind of tell, well, you know, this isn't somebody who loves music. This is somebody who loves picturing themselves on stage with a loving crowd showering them with attention. And, you know, it's super important to be honest with yourself. And if your goals are actually shallow, that isn't necessarily the end of the world. It just means that maybe you should look inwards and start to think about, why am I really doing this? And what is it that I can do for myself in the world? And like write some real clear, non-selfish goals. And that's going to help you through the difficult days for sure.
Yeah, and also those goals will help you stay accountable, right? That's the hard part with this video creator lifestyles. A lot of people are doing it solo, and there's no accountability, right? You're your own boss. So if you want to, you know, miss an upload date, who's going to slap you on the hand? Well, people in the comments will, but yeah, no one, right? You're you're in control of your own destiny. And I think for you, Grant, that was a little bit different, and probably a little bit of an advantage because you had a partner working with you. So did that help you stay motivated and stay on top of everything, and to create that accountability where you know, your partner's like, hey, did you get the script done? You're like, did that help you, or what was the dynamic there?
For sure, it helped me. So, yeah, like, the early stages of our channel, we would just kind of release whenever, and then it was my partner's idea of, let's release more. Let's kind of keep pushing the envelope here and, like, working more and more and easing into, first it was once a month, then it was every 2 weeks, then it was once a week, and then we went even further with it. And the idea of being on a team can also help a lot, as you said, because it keeps you from only thinking about yourself, because now you're accountable to other people. Do you really want to disappoint these people? If you don't hit your deadlines, you're going to disappoint them. So in that sense, your motivations can become less selfish, because now it's about not just yourself, but it's about your team. And that accountability is definitely huge. And so did you find with Baller Bootcamp, for instance, or even running VidChops, like, was it harder to motivate yourself, or did you also like working with a team? Because some people, they love just being on their own, and that's a deal breaker for them. But having a team around, you know, did you find that helped you as well?
With Baller Bootcamp, I was super motivated, and I had so much time because I was, you know, playing basketball in Europe. I had, you know, maybe 1 to 2 practices a day. That would be like my workload for the day. Or maybe on a game day, I just had a game at night. So I had so much time. It was easy for me to like always hit, I think it was 4 years straight where I hit my Wednesday upload every single time and never missed it.
Hell yeah.
For a long time. And I was by myself, and I think through sports and stuff, I really kind of just developed this, like, I've always kind of been known for my work ethic. People say I'm crazy. Like, I'll wake up at 6 a.m. on Saturdays and Sundays. And so that's kind of a part of me. But now that I'm more busy with, you know, coaching basketball, and now I have 2 kids, and I have a house and all this kind of stuff. my time is so much more limited. And so with VidChops, I do struggle with getting stuff done a lot. And if it wasn't for the fact that I do have a team now and I have, you know, a marketing guy that's asking, hey, I need to get, you know, can you please record this Facebook ad, or hey, can you please create this? And then I do struggle with getting it done, honestly. And this is the craziest part, is because I do have the accountability now with somebody asking me. It's just the time, kind of. It's the time that I don't have a lot of. And but without that accountability, I don't even think I would get anything done, because it's just hard, you know. And it does help to be on a team. I do think so, because they're counting on you, right?
Mm-hmm.
But one thing I'll add is, as far as procrastination and all that kind of stuff, probably one of the biggest tools that I've been using is sounds stupid, but to-do lists, right? So I have like a system that I use for to-do lists where, you know, it's in Asana, it's in like a project management thing, and then every day I'll take my to-do list and I'll write it onto a sticky note, and that just goes right in the pocket, you know. And so I'll do that in the morning. So by the end of the day, I'll have, you know, a bunch of things crossed off, and you get a little bit of satisfaction when you cross something off, and you cross that last thing off, and you can just look and be like, whoa, I got so much done today. But that to-do list combined with what's called time blocking, which is basically just scheduling. Like, so for example, this podcast, we record it at the same time every week, and we get it done. You know, we show up and we record it because we've kind of time blocked it out. If we were just like, hey, let's record a podcast once a week. Yeah, just text me anytime, you know, and we just kind of text back and forth. There'd be a lot of weeks that we would miss.
Yep.
So the to-do list with the time blocking really helps me. And I don't know if that's related to motivation, but I guess it just it's more related to accountability. But it does work, and it helps me get stuff done.
That's awesome. And so, like, one thing I find that helps me is you talked about to-do lists. I will often make to-do lists, but then when it comes time to do things, I'll like still, there's a part of me that it doesn't feel like doing it for some reason. This can happen from time to time. And I find the best way to get through that is to procrastinate with other productive things. And then once I say do the dishes or clean the kitchen or meditate or whatever, I've told myself that I could do hard things or things that I don't need to do. You know, you could shove it off another day. And I find just by doing that kind of like the idea of accountability. It's like I'm accountable for the dishes too. You know, I'm not just accountable for this YouTube channel. So by doing this kind of like simple thing that has less pressure than YouTube, I find that helps a lot. And it does teach me to be accountable to myself. Because I'm glad you brought up to-do lists because, I still can run into that block of, well, I know what I need to do today, but maybe I still don't quite feel like doing it, even though it is super helpful to have a clear list of my to-dos. So yes, productive procrastination, I find, helps quite a lot. Obviously, if you have super limited time, this can be an issue, but if you have more time than you may think, then I would recommend, you know, okay, well, you sit down at your desk, you're not feeling it, maybe just go for a walk and then come back to it. And get the blood flowing, kind of change things up if you're sitting there for 10 minutes and nothing is happening. So, yes, would recommend.
Yeah, that to me, that's a little bit of a slippery slope because I know exactly what you're talking about. And if there's something I know I need to do and I don't want to do it, like edit a video or write a script or something, I will go and do enough things that I feel like I'm being productive, like you said, cleaning, whatever, getting the oil changed. And eventually the time will run out and I never get done what I need to get done. And I feel like I'm using all those other things as excuses to not do what I know I should be doing. So it's a little bit, I see what you're saying as far as like once you get those things done, now you feel like you have a clean slate and you don't feel the pressure of other things that you feel like you need to do that are important. So you now have time and you're free to do your YouTube video or whatever. But for me, I'll just keep doing other things and just not get it done. So, yeah.
Fair enough. I think it's different mindsets, right? We're kind of throwing information out here like, this is what works for me. Well, this is what works for me. And it's kind of funny, like for different people, different things work. Obviously, for different schedules. I mean, you have more things in your schedule. You have a family and a bit more going on. But, I'm throwing this out here. For some people, they may hear this and be like, wow, do the dishes. I never thought about that. And for you, it's maybe not the best thing, and that's okay. That's all good. And so I guess let's turn this also. So we've talked about kind of in the moment, you sit down, you don't quite feel like it. How do you shake things up and get going? Let's talk about the big picture. So obviously you talked about having clear goals in the beginning. That is super important. But Augie, what's your stance on cultivating your life? There's a philosophy, so to speak, of living your best life. And I feel that is super important to having motivation as much as possible. So if you are, for instance, being very aware of your information diet. So that's who are you following on social media? What TV shows are you watching? What movies are you watching? Who are you hanging out with? Are these supportive sources? Are these negative sources? How do they affect you mentally? So what I recommend for people is, just be hyper aware. And Augie, are you like really picky with who you hang out with and who you follow on social media? And do you find that these things affect you in a big way?
I'm kind of always been a little bit of a lone wolf as far as the YouTube world and all that kind of stuff, because I come from a small town. It's called Atascadero. It's on the central coast of California. We're about 25,000 people. And I can't find too many people that are kind of into the same stuff I'm in. I'm into creating YouTube videos, videography. I can find some videography people that I like to, talk with and stuff. But the whole tech entrepreneurial space and stuff is something that I'm into. And so I kind of am a lone wolf. I operate kind of just by myself. I have one friend one of my best friends, he's in the tech space. So anytime we hang out, we get to talk about these kind of things that I'm interested in. But I'm not like one of those people. I got to surround myself with, successful people. I got to, do all that. Like, I have my group of friends that are just my group of friends, and we like each other because we are, crack funny jokes, and we kind of have the same humor, and our wives get along, and I respect them as parents and just good men. So that's kind of my world. Yeah.
Totally. But so even with your friends, like I'm not saying you have to hang out with people that are always like, yeah, dude, wake up at 4 a.m. and go on that run. But clearly your friends, like your wives get along, for instance. They're fun to hang out with. And I assume they're very supportive. They're not necessarily like, again, calling you at 4 a.m. to tell you to go on that run, but they are positive influences. So, some people can be, there's just something about them. They're like energy vampires. They're sucking you dry. They're kind of relying on you for, I don't know, validation versus just enjoying your company, whatever. And so, do you find that when you hang out with your friends, that it's like a recharge? It's kind of like a reminder, this is what life's about. It's hanging out with people I love and care about, and then experiencing that in turn makes you more motivated to do difficult things.
Yeah, okay, I get what you're saying, and yeah, I do agree with that. I mean, I think going to the beach with some friends, doing that kind of stuff is great ways to recharge your battery to increase motivation. I think it's kind of what I tell my basketball players, like, hey, you might be having a bad day at school, you might be tired, you might have a great day, whatever the case is. When you come into practice right now, we have 2 hours, and I'm just asking for complete focus. Like, I know you're going to be tired, complete effort, just for 2 hours. After that, let's joke, let's have fun. But this is kind of like back to the time blocking thing. Like, this time is blocked out for work. So same thing with YouTube, right? If you have, your time blocked out, okay, every Sunday, I'm going to get up a little bit earlier than I normally do. I'm going to get up at 7 a.m. and I'm going to go 2 hours and work on YouTube. Okay, we'll have a little place set up, right? It's all about systematizing the whole thing. get into your zone. You have your cup of coffee at 7 a.m. every time. You're sitting in the same chair right at your work desk at 7 a.m. And those 2 hours are blocked out. After that, then you go and you can, spend the rest of the day with your family, whatever. I think that's valuable. I mean, for you, were you always just kind of run and gun on the fly, or how would you guys create your videos? Like what was the process there?
So we had a schedule, like I talked about earlier. We eased into it a bit, but then to go into more specifics, we started releasing every Thursday once we were going to once a week. So we knew every Thursday we had to post, and usually that meant, okay, well, it's Friday. It's Friday. That means I should probably start writing so that by Tuesday we have something resembling a script done. And that schedule was obviously super huge, of just knowing every Thursday we got a post. And we would usually post around 3 p.m. And the process was really by knowing that we had something to do every Thursday, we would always, if someone was stuck, we would just send a message, hey, I don't know what to write. I'm confused. I don't know what to say. This doesn't seem interesting enough. Is this funny enough? Blah, blah, blah. And, by having that schedule, instead of just kind of like, this is too hard, I'm going to go put it down and play video games. Instead, you're more likely to reach out and like, hey, help me with this roadblock. I need another brain on this matter. So yeah, the process was very collaborative, and by collaborating, we're more easily able to stick to the schedule. Even just like talking about a problem with somebody can be really cathartic in helping you solve it. Even if they don't tell you something like groundbreaking, just like talking it through with another human who is actually listening, you might realize what you were trying to figure out on your own. And you talked about blocking off time, 2 hours of commitment. We would do that with work days, obviously. So it was, okay, well, if my goal is to finish this script today so that we can edit this video tomorrow, then obviously, what are you going to do? Are you just going to, you get stuck and you're just going to give up? No, you're going to do whatever it takes to finish that. And
yeah, I think for video creators and stuff, and YouTubers especially, like, the hardest part is like staying motivated when you're not getting subscribers, when you're not getting views. And I think for me, in the end, right, with my Baller Bootcamp channel, like I quit, right? I burnt out. I stopped. It's been 5 years or so since I had a consistent upload schedule there. And I think part of the reason is, I burnt out, but it was more, I guess you could say it was more like I lost motivation in a way. And I think part of it was because I was never truly able to break through to that like million view month or anything like that. It was always pretty flat, 400,000, 410,000, 420,000, 500,000 finally. And then, okay, now back down to 400,000, 400, every month. And so, that was a challenge. And I know for you, you've always allude to like how challenging it is to create a YouTube channel, and it's a lot of work and your own mental struggles. So do you relate to that? Did you feel like you lost motivation with Treesicle for a little bit, or was it more of just like a different type of mental fatigue?
Oh yeah, I mean, so we also struggled with our max was like always between 3 to 4 million views a month, which sounds like a lot, and it was, but we had 4 people on the team. So as far as income, that's livable, but you're not exactly thriving. So when you're kind of stagnant like that and you're putting in all this effort and creativity, yeah, absolutely, it's exhausting. And I did lose motivation for very long stretches of time, years even, which burned me out trying to push through that for so long. And the thing that really helped me was there's like it's this idea of if you could wave a magic wand and all of a sudden the work is done, how long would that take? Or let me put it a more accurate way here. Let's say you're writing a script. Theoretically, the perfect script exists somewhere in your imagination. If you could just write it without any wasted time, how long would it actually take you? If you just pressed all the keys perfectly, it might only take you 10 minutes to write a 4-page script, which is like a 12-minute video or something. So what I've tried to do over the years is get as close to that impossible, perfect idea as possible. So how do you do that? For me, it was first recognizing that voice in my head that was very negative. So a negative voice in your head can be useful. It can critique you. It can tell you what you can do better. It can do all these important things for you to make you better. But it can also really drag you down. And I would find if I was writing or editing, that voice would keep telling me, this sucks, you're not funny, you're not interesting, this is too much work, this is taking too long, what's wrong with you, blah, blah, blah. And that would make things take so much longer, and like exponentially longer. And then you have to live with that voice every day, every second of every day. And so for me, it was this long-term process of getting motivation back, which I'm still in the process of, by the way, of just like quieting that voice. And so ways I did it was, surrounding myself with good people, branching out, but also meditation, exercise, eating healthy, getting as much sleep as I can. These kind of like external things to quiet the negative voice. And the more that I did that, the more I find now that I'm able to just kind of sit down and work. Because, yeah, that critical voice could really it can mess with you and just waste lots of time. And have you dealt with that? Is this more of a sort of angsty creative problem? You're more business minded, but do you deal with that voice? Have you tried and true strategies to get rid of it?
Yeah, my internal voice is a little bit different, but it's more of like the perfectionist type voice, right? Where you sit down to write a script and you finish it and then you delete the whole thing and start over. Or you're sitting down editing a video and you're editing for way too long, and then you're going down maybe other rabbit holes and stuff like that. Like all of a sudden now you're looking to buy plugins for your video editor, or other kind of text animations, and because you want this to be the best video you've ever made, and
Yep.
and that stuff is the stuff that kind of blocks me and messes me up. And then or you finish a video, you think it's not good enough, that kind of stuff. Those are the kind of the internal talks that I have. But then there's other times too where it's the opposite, where like you're in the zone, right? You are able to knock that script out in 10 minutes. And that's that's where you want to be. So I think anytime you are in the zone, you need to recognize it and be like, wow, I just knocked out like 2 hours of work in 30 minutes. Why? How did I do that? What were the things? So why don't you talk a little bit about that? Have you ever been in the zone, and what did that look like?
Oh yeah, I mean, being in the zone for me, it usually coincides with like obviously feeling really good, but also just less thoughts. Like I'm just doing. My thoughts are only serving the thing that I'm working on. They're not being super self-critical. They're not spacing out and thinking about something that has nothing to do with this. And it often, for me, getting in the zone is a function of, healthy habits and being productive in general. I find like the more I fill my schedule, the more productive I become. It's like if you give yourself 3 days to finish something, it's going to take you 3 days. If you give yourself 1 day to finish something, it's going to take yourself 1 day. So getting in the zone to me feels like this endless flow where it feels effortless to do whatever it is I'm working on. And sometimes that, ironically, comes from being busier rather than not busy. Days when, these past couple years with COVID, there were times when I had tons of free time. And I could have worked on YouTube a lot, but I was actually way less productive than when I was working a full-time job on top of YouTube, ironically.
Yeah.
So it's, being in the zone feels like this endless flow, and just being able to get things done without wasting time, and it feels amazing.
Yeah, and I think you got to be careful too, because so many times I've been in the zone or whatever, I've been working a ton, but like I said kind of before, like it's all kind of frivolous work. Like I'll open up a document and I'll come up with like 20 video topic ideas, and I'll be so proud of myself. I got enough video topics for half of a year here, and then I never even open that document ever again. You know, it's like these are just ideas that I came up with for no reason. Or I'll go down some rabbit hole like, no, I need to get a better camera. And then I'm like looking online at cameras for like 2 hours, and then that was it. I never bought anything. It's just like 2 hours down the drain, you know. So you just got to be careful and stay. It's almost like you got to be in the zone and focused on your work. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. So being in the zone is funny. Like, I do find that sometimes my most productive days, maybe even often my most productive days, I don't necessarily feel great, but I'm just kind of like chugging along and working anyway. You would think that if you feel really great that day, or you're gonna get more done, but sometimes this just kind of like, whatever, it's another day. You press the buttons, do what you got to do. Weirdly enough, those days can be the best, and if I'm able to kind of like get over that little hump of like, yeah, I'm not like super happy today, but if I can sit down and get 5 minutes of work done, suddenly that like teaches myself, hey, even though I'm not on cloud 9, I'm still able to push through. And that is somehow like more inspiring than like waking up and wanting to do a happy dance and then, you know, flutter on rainbows or whatever. It's like you're able to overcome your own BS, you know, and that is somehow very inspiring. And like, do you find that those days are actually more productive when you are just kind of chugging along?
Yeah, I mean, the days that are the most productive for me actually are the ones where I have a beginning and end time to my work. You know I have 2 hours, I have 4 hours, I have whatever amount of time. Then I'm in go mode, right? A lot of the times it's like early in the morning, like I'll get on my computer by 6:30 in the morning, because as soon as my kids wake up, I kind of prioritize that, right? It's like that's pretty much the only thing that will take me away from work is my kids. I'd much rather be sitting on the couch playing with a car with my son or something than locked up in the bedroom on the computer. Or, you know, sometimes I'll try to work with them around, and it's, you know, you don't get anything done. My son's jumping all over me and stuff. So I need that time block. So I think, you know, for those that are listening to this right now, feeling unmotivated, like just try some of the things that I mentioned earlier, you know. Set goals. Okay, what is your goal? That can be 10,000 subscribers. That can be, you know, a certain amount of videos, right? I think that's the best goal, right? 100 videos. That's a lot better goal than 10,000 views a month or 10,000 subscribers, because that's an achievable goal, right? 100 videos, you for sure 100% can get that done, and that's on you. So set goals, and then mission setting. You know, why are you doing this? What's your why? You know, think about the doubters. Okay, the people that are trying to hold you back and don't think you can do it. That should help bring motivation. And then kind of the logistical things is like create your to-do lists, you know, time block, you know, every Monday between 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. I'm going to be in the studio hitting record. And those kind of things are the things that have helped me the most, and hopefully to those listening, help them too.
Right on. And I am really glad that you mentioned setting subscriber numbers or view numbers as goals isn't necessarily the best idea, because you don't have control necessarily over how many views a video gets or how many subscribers you get. Sometimes it's just a matter of perseverance. And if your motivation is more internal, so if you're making videos that you're proud of and the people that are seeing them are commenting, hey, this was awesome, you really helped me out, those kind of those comments, that feedback is actually very motivating, even though you don't necessarily have the numbers to back it up yet. So if you can kind of like cultivate your little community and your even if there's like 100 people that are consistently watching your videos, even if it's 20 people or 10 people, if they're there for you and they're enjoying it and they're supporting you, that is super motivating, but only if your goals are in alignment with what is happening right now. Because again, like, sometimes it just takes time. Like, it's not until one video pops off that you start to really get an influx of viewers into the channel. And you don't want to be at the mercy of the algorithm for your mental health, for your motivation, because all of that is, you can only do so much to control it. The only thing you can really control is your own internal motivations. All right, so we've talked about what to do when you feel like you've hit a wall, when you're tired at 9 p.m. and you don't quite know how to motivate yourself. We've talked about having the right goals and having unselfish goals, being honest with yourself. And do you like the idea of doing this, or do you actually like the reality of being a YouTuber? These are all super important. These are huge. We've also opened up a bit about negative feelings and how to deal with that nagging voice in your head, how to overcome it, quiet it, and but also not hate it. You don't want to hate any voice in your head. Otherwise, it's going to be detrimental to yourself. And scheduling, all these super important things. So hopefully Augie and I opening up about our own struggles and strategies has gotten the point across that everybody deals with motivational struggles. Those struggles can be small or they can be huge. If your drive to succeed feels like it's on the other end of a gaping chasm, then I'd suggest looking at the big picture and doing what you can to quiet that self-critical voice while still appreciating that self-critical voice for the good it does you. Like I said, hating that you think a certain way will only dig the hole deeper. And of course, cultivating a life that you really enjoy living is super important. We even talked about just hanging out with people that are really important to you. And obviously you don't want to let this slide into just wasting time, but you can really feel good just hanging at the beach or by the lake or doing whatever with people that are important to you. It reminds you of why you are here, what's actually real in this world. And, you know, sometimes it's helpful to pull back and not totally focus on this obsessive dream. Sometimes it's good to look at the big picture and think, why am I really doing this? What's really important? And if you do that, you might find that there's less pressure on yourself. Suddenly, life has many aspects, and your dream of being a big YouTuber is only one aspect. So, if you can get your head on straight, if you can do productive things and in the context of a larger goal, then you too can stay consistently motivated and do awesome, beautiful, wonderful things.